We're here today with Brian King, and Brian is President and CEO of Kenway Consulting. Brian, thank you for joining us here today on CEO Intronet Chicagoland. So tell me, I understand you are an ex-road warrior.
Oh yes, prior to starting Kenway back in 2004, I had been with Accenture for 9 years, and a lot of those years were out of suitcases and in hotels at clients outside of Chicago, and it was definitely part of the reason why I wanted to start a consulting firm that focused on Chicagoland companies.
And is that your focus right now, mostly Chicagoland?
It is. It's Chicagoland and suburbs. You know, like any company, we'll go where the business is. But I think being in the third largest city in the country, there's a lot of business here for a small company to pursue. So,
what's your sweet spot?
Our sweet spot is based on our people. Our people are mostly ex-Big Four, Big Five consulting, people who have led large enterprise initiatives that bridge business and technology. And so if you think in terms of the resource mix that we have, it's usually the Fortune 5 type clients that have those large initiatives that will last 6 months, 12 months, and need resources like that, and need project teams like that.
Okay. And give me a sense for when you started and how you've grown.
Well, I started in 2004. I was a one-man show. I had one client, and I was the only one doing the work. And it lasted that way for over a year. In 2005, we started hiring, and it's just been a slow and steady growth despite the economic environment. Proud to say that we've grown in every year, both in size of employees, size of clients, as well as revenues. I like to say that we're the tortoise in the hare story.
That's great. I mean, that's what you want, though. But with growth comes some challenges, right? How do you keep your employees focused on what it means to work for Kenway?
It's a great question. There's a lot of companies that do what we do, and so it's difficult sometimes to convince not only clients but also employees about what makes working for Kenway different. And a few years ago, I felt like a lot of major decisions, we were small enough, I was able to make them all. And as we grew, I realized that I needed to empower people to make more decisions, and I felt as though I needed to ground everyone in a set of principles that would help them know what decision was the best decision to make given a certain circumstance. And we collaboratively created a set of 24 guiding principles that if read and understood by every employee, it makes decision making quite easy, even if it's a complex decision to make.
What kind of guiding principles do you have?
The principles are mostly around integrity.
Okay.
Always doing right by the client, even if that might mean lower revenues or less work. I've worked for managers in the past that have sought out work that the client didn't necessarily need. And I would rather turn away work that the client doesn't need, and that might be an example. It also includes respect for the individual. I'm not a big fan of collectivist thought where we treat this pool of people the same way or this pool of people the same way. Every individual needs to be respected uniquely, and that's one of the principles that we employ as well.
How big does the tortoise want to grow?
I think it's a market-relevant answer, really. Okay. We will grow as large as the market dictates. We'll pursue work that we know that we're good at, that we know that we can handle given our size, and that we know we can be successful in. We've turned down work, and for reasons that I didn't feel as though we were set up for success, and we'll continue to do that. But I think the answer is I'd love to get large, but not at the expense of the principles. As long as we adhere to those, I'll grow as large as we can.
And you'd love to stay in Chicagoland, right? So we've got to grow business in Chicago.
That's the idea. That's definitely the idea for sure. But if we grow to a size where expanding outside dictates that, we'll do it.
Well, that's where you hire the younger kids who still think that being a road warrior is a fun thing to do, right?
Exactly.
What's your passion? What drives your passion?
Well, part of the principles is respect for the individual, and I like rewarding people for what they contribute, for their effort, for the value that they provide. But a big part of it is that effort piece. And I have a passion for it as it relates to rewarding employees, and I have a passion for it as it relates in the community as well.
How do you keep your team engaged
With
with the company and with their community?
Great question. With the company, because we're diversified across a large client base, our employees don't all work together every day. So we do have forums, on a quarterly basis where we meet as a big organization, and a lot of communication in between. That's how we keep grounded within our company. But with the community, we have partnered over the course of the last 2 years with a charity in Chicago by the name of Inspiration Corporation, which their tagline is Catalyst for Self-Reliance,
Wow.
which is another one of those, reward the individual who's making efforts to improve themselves. And that's what Inspiration Corporation is all about, is rewarding individuals who are making efforts to not be homeless anymore, to be clean, to be sober, to pursue employment. And Inspiration Corporation helps give that little extra push to people who are pursuing that sort of life.
So you're helping to turn lives around, not just businesses, right?
That's the idea.
That's great. I mean, that in and of itself is an inspiration. I appreciate your being here, Brian. Thank you so much. Brian King, President and CEO of Kenway Consulting. Thank you for being here with us today on CEO Intronet Chicagoland.
Thank you.